The things that these people are trying to get away with weaponizing against Justin is just insane.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Flossom Talk. I'm Shashti Floor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. I don't know where to start. There is so much new evidence pouring out every single day now that I'm completely overwhelmed. And the more I read into these depositions that's been unsealed, I am more and more shocked. So there's new depositions unsealed from Justin Baldoni himself and also the producer Alex Sachs. And now we're starting to get the entire picture here of how many people were actually involved in trying to take over this movie. This is truly fascinating. And after reading everything that they've released on Justin Baldoni, from Justin Baldoni's deposition now, it's so clear to me what they're trying to do here. Because they do not have a smoking gun. They are trying to create an illusion that Justin Baldoni would be capable of doing the things that he's accused of just by tearing apart his character. And that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to collect tiny little pieces of things that he said or he's done in the past and in the present time and use it against him. Also, the fact that he's been so open about his own mistakes and that he has regretted some of the things that he's done and said, and he's taking responsibility, he's taking accountability, and they're using that against him. That's one of the things that really upsets me about business culture in Hollywood, and I think in the US in general, is that if you take accountability and responsibility for things that you've done and own up to your mistakes, that is going to be punished. And this is a great example of that, because every time that he has owned up to something, they are using it against him. And they're working really hard here to try to portray him as a horrible person and a very irresponsible man and a man that made women feel unsafe. So let's first talk about this one thing that caught my attention in Justin's deposition, where he explains how Shawn Levy called him. Shawn Levy is the director that worked on so many of Ryan Reynolds' films. He was also present at the premiere evidence with us. He was at the red carpet posing with his best friends. And Justin explained to Blake's lawyer that Shawn Levy called him out of the blue. And the reason for the call was that Shawn wanted to explain to Justin how he should handle someone like Blake Lively. I was like, wow, that just says a lot about Blake, that she's really difficult to deal with. But I don't think that was the reason for this call. Obviously, he was on Team Blake and Ryan on a mission here. And he basically told Justin that he needed to give Blake some more responsibilities. He needed to let her feel like she was being heard all the time, meaning that he needed to give her more power. Meaning that it would be easier for her to take over the entire movie if Justin agreed and listened to Shawn's advice, something that Justin admitted he did. So now they're getting more people involved in this takeover. I also want to go through Alex Sachs' deposition more closely in this episode, so I'll do that a little bit later because that is really explosive stuff. But first, I wanted to point out something that I found pretty disturbing in Justin's deposition, where he talks about Melissa Nathan. This stuff to me is a bit worrisome. The reason for that is because this proves that Melissa Nathan wasn't being honest with Justin. And I don't know how this entire thing would work if one person was doing things on her own and doing things behind other people's backs without their knowledge, and they're all being sued as one unity here. I'm not saying that Melissa Nathan did anything to hurt Blake Lively, but when I see evidence like this, I find that very, very concerning. So this is from Justin's deposition, where Blake Lively's attorney is asking him about Melissa Nathan and this Hollywood Reporter article. So there was an article in Hollywood Reporter saying that Justin had hired Melissa Nathan as his crisis manager. Justin was really upset about that because he didn't want people to know that he had hired a crisis manager, because then people might think that he had done something wrong. And that makes completely sense to me. And that is something a crisis manager also should know. She's worked with big clients before. As you know, she's worked with Johnny Depp before. So she knows these things. So in this deposition, Blake's attorney is asking Justin if he knows about this conversation that Melissa had with some of her friends or colleagues or co-workers. One of them is a publicist, I think, and one of them is close to a reporter. And here is a text exchange when Melissa is saying, just checking in to see if I need to look out for this article, and if so, when? And then Pam, which is her friend, says, was just texting you. Story is very fair and going soon. Melissa says, thank you. Then Blake's attorney is asking Justin, were you aware that Melissa had spoken on background with the Hollywood Reporter ahead of the story being published? Justin says, I was not. Then he's saying that Melissa sent a text message to the entire group of these people, her friends, saying, boom, this is good, and attaching the Hollywood Reporter article. And then Amy, her friend, is saying, you are going to hear from all the problematic men. Dick-a-pick-a-palooza. Ashley says, men are always the problem. You're in the right game. And then Ashley says, Blake Lively noting Melissa's name, ha ha. And then Amy says, Joaquin Phoenix is calling. And then Melissa says, I effing wish. And then the attorney is asking, do you think it would be fair for people to infer that from the fact that you chose to hire Melissa Nathan, that you were now one of a group of problematic men that she tended to work with? And then Justin says, do I think it would be fair for people to infer? I think people's opinions are fair. I mean, I can't control people's opinions. Then the attorney asks, do you think you are a problematic man? I don't, says Justin. And they're using Johnny Depp here as well, saying that because of Melissa also representing Johnny, who was a problematic man, then of course this is going to make Justin look like a problematic man. And of course that makes him a problematic man in their eyes. And then they're asking this insane question saying, you're not aware of any fan theories at the time that one of the reasons that the cast unfollowed you and that you were not involved in a lot of the marketing of the film or publicity around the film was because you engaged in abusive or toxic behavior on set. And then Justin says, I'm not aware those were fan theories. No, where are those fan theories? Those were accusations that were planted by Blake's team in the press. We know that Leslie Sloan planted that story where she said that, where Blake had said that the kiss lingered too long. And Justin says, I'm aware that there were leaks to the press that accused me of that, but I'm not aware of fan theories. The things that these lawyers are saying are just so insane, and it gets worse. But anyways, what I find so concerning about this is that Justin now feels that he probably can't trust Melissa Nathan. And that's exactly what Blake's lawyers want. They want to split this party so they don't know who they can trust. And then they would say contradictive things. And also, I'm wondering, I don't know, since I'm not a lawyer, but, you know, if there will be information that Melissa Nathan has done things that none of the parties knew about, who's responsible for that? I don't know. I'm not saying that she did anything, but if she did, who would be responsible for that? And as I said, the press picked up on these ridiculous stories that came out of Justin's deposition. One of them is TMZ, and they're saying that Justin Baldoni, yeah, I told Blake I was circumcised, and Ryan was there too. So this is a situation that happened in November of 2022. So way before they started filming in May of 2023. So remember that it was 5 months before they started filming, and they were probably at their Tribeca loft or something. I feel like a lot was going on up there. And they're saying here that Baldoni testified he told Lively he was circumcised, even though she didn't ask about it. In a deposition transcript, Justin described a discussion with Blake about whether she and Ryan's baby should be circumcised, and says he shared with his co-stars that he was snipped. He also said Ryan was in and out of that conversation. And according to Baldoni, there were other people around as well, specifically 2 nannies, at least 1 assistant, and possibly a housekeeper. Us Weekly did another interesting angle on this, saying that Justin Baldoni told Blake Lively he was circumcised despite her never directly asking. I mean, the things he's being accused of here, it's so dumb. Are they going to make that into SH? And this is something that happened apparently in front of Ryan Reynolds. And they were discussing this because she was having a son. And think about this. If this was so disturbing for Blake at the time and Ryan, because he was also there, why did she still want to star in his movie? Why did Ryan want to send her every day to the set of It Ends With Us if he knew that Justin Baldoni was so inappropriate? And it says here in Us Weekly, when asked if he ever told any other work colleagues about his genitalia, Baldoni responded, "No, I don't talk about my G's, so no." And it says here that Us Weekly has reached out to Baldoni's team for comment on the deposition. So now we know what that was about in those 17 points, that there was no more talk about your private parts. And of course, that is because he said that he was circumcised. Isn't it interesting when you think about all the inappropriate things that Ryan Reynolds has said over the years and his sense of humor, that they would in any way, any form, any sense think that this was, over the top, or that this was shocking in any way? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And regarding that, I just saw, by the way, that today Ryan Reynolds posted a video to support sick kids for Christmas. Anyways, how unexpected. Then there's some good stories here about Taylor Swift. But before we get into that, I wanted to thank the 2 sponsors of this video, Aura Frames and Bubs Natural. You know when you swear that you're going to be early this year with your Christmas shopping, and then it's December 23rd before you know it, and then you start panicking, and then you're like, what am I going to get to this person? Especially there's always 1 or 2 people that are like, don't give me anything. I have everything that I need. My mom used to be like that. And I know if I still had my parents, this would be the gift I would give to them. So this is Aura Frame, and I think that this is the sweetest gift ever. So the really cool part about it is that you can download the Aura app beforehand, and then you can upload a bunch of photos and videos. So when the person you are gifting this to opens the frame, the photos and videos are already there, and you can keep updating them from your location constantly. So all of a sudden, the photos will change in front of them. And if you have a big family, all of you can have different frames and you can update each other's frames. It's super cool. So for a limited time, you can save on the perfect gift by using auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. All you have to do is using my promo code Shashti at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Shashti, my name. This deal is exclusive to you as my viewer and listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support my show by mentioning me at the checkouts. Also, a big thank you to Bubs Natural for sponsoring this video. Getting older is great in many ways, but it also comes with some challenges. Suddenly, the joints get stiffer, recovery time takes longer, your hair gets thinner, your nails break more easily, and your skin doesn't have the same glow anymore. But luckily, there are things that you can do to make you look and feel more youthful. That's why I'm in love with Bubs Natural Collagen Peptides. I started using it because I needed something clean to actually help with recovery and joint support. And quickly, I felt and saw a difference. It made me feel like I recovered faster after playing tennis or just like lifting weights. My skin is smoother, my hair looks healthier, and the powder just disappears instantly into my smoothie in the morning. It has no taste, no clumps, just easy. The collagen is incredibly clean, no sugar added, no fillers, third-party tested, NSF certified for sports, Whole30 approved and grass-fed. And the story behind Bubs makes it even better. The brand honors Navy SEAL Glenn Bub Doherty, and they donate 10% of all profit to the charity in his name. Live better, longer. For a limited time, only my listeners or viewers are getting 20% off at Bubs Natural by using code FLAW, F-L-A-A, at checkout. Just head to BUBS and use code FLAW, F-L-A-A, and you're all set. After you purchase, they ask where you heard about them. So please mention my channel and tell them that I sent you. All right, let's get back into the madness. So, as I said, Taylor Swift is being dragged into this again. They love putting her in headlines, and I get it. People are very interested. What was really Taylor Swift's role here? And now there's more evidence here. According to Daily Mail, Blake Lively used Taylor Swift to threaten Justin Baldoni if he didn't do her bidding. So Blake apparently would not approve the trailer if she didn't get her will, and they also said that she threatened them to remove Taylor's song if she didn't get what she wanted. So she used all of this ammunition against Baldoni, as he's saying in his deposition as well, that she had all these things on him, which are all the things that we now know that she's accused him of. And he was terrified that she would plant stuff about him in the media to make him look bad. And that's why he went along with everything that she said. And it says here that in his deposition, Baldoni called the threat of being publicly exposed by Lively a nuclear bomb that he was constantly worried about. You can't blame him. We now see what she's been able to do to him. So, of course, he was terrified. He said, Lively had the nuclear bomb. If she doesn't promote the movie, she can leak that I'm a bad person or that she felt unsafe with me and all that stuff she has on me. Then she's the victim. It's the Taylor Swift playbook, so she can ask for whatever she wants because she knows I know. So he's calling it the Taylor Swift playbook. Interesting. Baldoni explained that he was somebody small in Hollywood dealing with a titan like Miss Lively and some of the most powerful people in the world, which are her best friend. Yeah, and Page Six is doing the same story here, saying Justin Baldoni calls out Blake Lively for playing the victim on set. It's the Taylor Swift playbook. All of these stories now is going to piss off Taylor Swift because, as you know, she doesn't want to be a part of this. And especially thinking about how important IP and ownership is to Taylor Swift, how much she fought to get back ownership of her own material, of her own songs. If she would help Blake taking someone else's IP and someone else's ownership away from them, that would be very hypocritical. Also, there's a lot of stories saying that Justin is trying to take away Blake's rights to go to trial. I mean, these are regular things that you do in any legal feud, that you file a motion for summary judgment so that the judge can toss it out. And then they're using the word throwing the kitchen sink at her SH harassment. So that's what Blake Lively is saying that Baldoni is doing here. Well, he is just defending himself. It's so funny to me that they would say something like that. Of course, he's throwing out all the evidence that he has to defend himself. She wants him to pay $650 million, and you expect him to just sit there and say, okay, that's fine. I'm man enough. I can take it. Like, come on. Anyways, let's get a little bit more into this deposition from Alex Sachs here, because this is really interesting to me. So in her deposition, she is trying to portray Justin as kind of aggressive. She's testifying that he yelled at her 3 times. What I find so interesting about this is that she cannot recall what she yelled at her and what the situation was when he yelled at her, what it was all about. What was the argument about? For me, if someone yells at me, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Obviously, no one likes to be yelled at, but I do remember what they yelled at me. If you don't even remember what they yelled at you, how did that affect you in any way? I don't understand that. And that's why I find this to be really, really sketchy. So as I spoke about yesterday, one of the incidents that she remembered he yelled at her was at the set of the movie. I'll get back to that shortly. There's also some other instances here where she said that he yelled at her. So she says that once in a Zoom call, he yelled at her. And she doesn't recall what it was about, but she does recall that the next day he said he was sorry if he was being inappropriate in the Zoom call. I can imagine that Justin obviously was really stressed out at this point. And I think what we've learned through all of this also is that the set of It Ends With Us wasn't perfect. And maybe they didn't have enough experience working on big productions before. It seems like some people were complaining about that it wasn't professional enough. But still, there's nowhere that it's being said that there was a lot of yelling on this set. They complained about hugging and toxic positivity. And now they're saying that Justin was yelling a lot. And as I mentioned yesterday, there is another instant where she said that he yelled at her on the set. And she's explaining more here that he slammed his hands on a chair right next to me while yelling at me, saying my name. That's the one thing I remember is he said, "Alex." I wonder if there's any movie sets in Hollywood where a director hasn't put his foot down at one point, especially with a producer like this. It seems like Alex, surprise, surprise, also wanted control of the movie because we also know now that she wanted to get rid of both Jamie and Justin Baldoni and kick them off the set. And it seems like in this situation, she remembers a little bit more because what she said that this argument was about was that Justin wanted to shoot more angles of the scene. And she said, no, that's enough. We have it, you got it. And he said, as a director, I don't think I got it yet. I need more time. I need to shoot this from another angle. That was the argument. And then he was like, Alex, stop it. I need to shoot this again. Yes, and I can't find anything shocking about that situation. I really can't. Then she also talks about a lunch she had with Jenny Slate. So during this lunch in May 2023, that's just when they had started shooting, Jenny told her that she had a Zoom meeting with Justin and Blake and that she didn't realize until the end of the meeting that Justin had been recording the meeting. That to me is really weird. First of all, if you do a Zoom meeting, you press record and it says, we are now recording, and there is a red dot blinking the entire time so you can see that the person is recording. If he wasn't recording it on Zoom, if he was recording on his phone, how did they then notice that he did it unless he told them that he recorded it? And it's very normal to record Zoom meetings and also to go back if you want to check out what you were talking about, to have the notes. And I think at this point, Justin had also realized that he needs to have receipts for everything around this movie. And now we know that they recorded quite a few phone calls as well. I can't wait for them to come out. I think he also recorded this conversation he had with Sean Levy and also a conversation with WME. So yes, there are more recordings coming out. I'm still waiting for this recording that was going to be released today. I haven't seen it yet. But anyways, let's get back to this. So that was one of the things that Jenny complained about in this lunch meeting. And then she also shared with Alex that she felt uncomfortable when he commented on her appearance, the leather pants. And she complained about the housing situation. We've heard about this before, that Jenny felt uncomfortable when Jamie Heath said, do you want to have a nicer apartment because you're a mother and you have a young child? We want to accommodate you to a nicer housing. And then that made her feel uncomfortable. I tried to make sense of it. I mean, I can't. And also, apparently, she felt uncomfortable when they were doing a shoot and Justin went out to talk to the fans because there were a lot of fans outside and he wanted to show them love. So he went out and talked to them. And Jenny said to Alex that she didn't want to do that because she's a very private person. That's why she's sharing so much on that podcast, where she talks about really raunchy stuff, by the way. She's so private, but she can't face her fans. I mean, to me, that's just so arrogant and so disrespectful disrespectful. And she's using it against him, that he was out there being nice to the fans. The things that these people are trying to get away with weaponizing against Justin is just insane. Apparently, then Jenny Slate said to Alex Sachs, the producer, that she didn't want to see Jamie Heath ever again, but she realized that she had to probably see Justin again because he was the director of the movie. Then Alex actually went to Sony and suggested that they should get rid of Justin and Jamie Heath. And Sony said, you know, we can't really do that. It's their movie. And then Alex said that she felt really comfortable about running the movie herself. And the attorney is asking her, and did you think because of what Miss Slate shared with you that Justin should be replaced as director on the film? Yes. He said that her pants were sexy and he should get fired off his own movie for that. That's what she's saying here. And he didn't even say that she's sexy. He said her pants are sexy. And then a lawyer is asking why. And she says, because his actors were uncomfortable in his presence. And then they ask, why do you think Jamie should not be on set? Because I knew that I was more than capable of running the movie. They just weren't letting me. And so his presence was actually not needed. So if he was making someone so uncomfortable, I didn't see the reason for him to be there. Was Mr. Baldoni replaced as the director of the film? Why do you ask that? You know he wasn't. No. And then the lawyer's asking why not? And she says, I don't know. Then she had a meeting with Jamie and Justin where she discussed these things, and she said that they were very comfortable talking about this and they owned their mistakes and they were happy to have an investigation. I don't know what they were going to investigate sorry, I just find it so ridiculous. Anyways, here comes something even more ridiculous. In your view, the comment that Miss Lively raised about Mr. Heath and Mr. Baldoni joking that you can't make eye contact with people anymore, did you view that to undermine and lessen the importance of people wanting to be comfortable in the workplace? So apparently Justin and Jamie were joking, saying that you can't even make eye contact with people anymore because you obviously couldn't, because if you did make eye contact with Blake, she made a big deal about it. So that wasn't even a joke, if you ask me, because they actually couldn't. And then the lawyer's asking, do you think it was appropriate for the two men in charge of the production to joke about not being able to make eye contact with people because of HR? She says no. She thought it was very inappropriate to joke about that. Then she's asked a lot about this incident when Jamie walked into Blake's trailer. I've talked about it so many times. And he was asked to look away because she was removing body makeup or something like that. And then she realized when she turned around that he was looking in her direction, and then they had eye contact and she freaked out about it. We still don't know what she was wearing, if she had a towel on. I'm sure she had something on. But anyways, Alex is asked about that situation here, and she has no knowledge to it whatsoever. She doesn't remember anything from that. I find that so hard to believe, if this was a big deal back then, that the producer who was there and she was around all the time, she doesn't know anything. She doesn't recall anything. But what she did do here, which the lawyer is asking about, is referring to Mr. Baldoni as a narcissist. Do you believe Mr. Baldoni to be a narcissist? As a non-physician, yes, she says. Based on what? All the behavior I had witnessed for the preceding year and a half. She doesn't know much about narcissism if she calls Justin a narcissist. All he's doing all the time is apologizing for his behavior, owning his mistakes, being in touch with his feelings. Those are all traits that narcissists don't have. And then the lawyer's asking, what is your experience that Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath had a way of making women on the set feel like shit? And then she says, a couple, yes, the couple that came to me that we've talked about, and myself, yes. So these are three women, basically Alex, Jenny Slate, and Blake Lively. Then they ask about the book bonanza, and this is really interesting because she is Because here the lawyer is really trying to convince everyone that Blake Lively's cut was the best, and that's why it was chosen. And they're basically saying that at the Book Bonanza event, everyone was yelling and applauding, and it was so well received, obviously because they invited fans of Colleen Hoover and she was there, and they're trying to make that look like Blake Lively did the best version of the movie. And as we know, hers tested much worse than Justin's. And the lawyer here is asking, was it your opinion that the cut screened at Book Bonanza was the strongest cut of the film you'd seen so far? Yeah, says Alex. And was that the cut created by Miss Lively? And then she says, I actually don't remember. Do you have any reason to believe that it was the cut, the film that was created by Mr. Baldoni? I don't think so because of the date, she says. So Alex here is supposed to be on top of her game. She's a producer of this movie. And as we know, Blake brought the cut of the movie, her cut of the movie, to Book Bonanza without even Sony knowing about it. And now Alex Sachs says that she didn't know that this was Blake's cut that was shown. And she's saying that she should have control of this movie as the only producer? Really? And here is a text that Alex sent to Blake after the screening. She said, the cut is excellent. Like I said, the best this far. Truly beautiful, beautiful work, Blake. I think this last leg of the journey is going to be really sweet for everyone, and that's because of you. Colleen might be the mother. You're the effing fairy godmother for everyone. I'm always at your disposal or for whatever you need, creatively or otherwise. I am incredibly proud of this film. So at this point, she's saying that she didn't know that it was Blake's film that was screened at the Book Bonanza. She also says that she believed that Blake deserved the PGA mark, the Producers Guild of America stamp that she worked so hard for when she took over all the roles of the movie that wasn't assigned to her. And so she helped her get that. Surprise, surprise. Now, later in this deposition, this is interesting because now Justin Baldoni's lawyer is taking over, asking her some questions here. And this is when she's getting in trouble. Because now we know that she actually sent a text to Justin, or was it Jamie or the group? I don't remember. But she said that Blake is now trying to take over the movie. This is bad. That was her words. So why did she think it was bad that Blake took over the movie when she was so supportive of her the entire time and said that her cut was the best cut? And here Baldoni's lawyer is saying, at around the time of the premiere, when you texted that she was virtually taking over the film, did you have any discussions with Mr. Baldoni on the subject? So that text was back in post-production. That was about 2 months before the premiere, she's trying to say here. I believe I did talk to Justin around when that sort of final takeover was happening. And I think that was one of our last conversations. So she didn't speak to him after that, I think. Wow. Then there's a question about the weight. As the producer of a movie in which the lead actor has to lift the lead actress, did you find anything offensive about Mr. Baldoni trying to find out how much she weighed? Alex says, I don't know that I find it offensive. I understand it on a practical level, but she was a woman who had just had a baby and was clearly uncomfortable with her body and her weight. Okay, there we got it. So it was more of an insensitive, stupid question that maybe we could have gotten the answer another way. How would she have gotten the answer another way? He was asking a third person that he trusted here, that he obviously couldn't trust, this trainer that he asked about her weight. And he went straight to Blake and Ryan and said, hey, Justin is fat shaming you. You should have a meeting and yell at him for like 4 hours. So yeah, there's a lot more coming out from, I think from her deposition too, because after this, it was broken off and they went on a break. And we're going to see a lot more from Justin's evidence coming out soon. I'm really hoping that we can balance things out a little bit because now, as I said, these are most evidence coming from Blake's team. And I really want to see Baldoni's attorneys grill the other side. Anyways, that's a long episode for me today. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I really hope you're going to have a wonderful weekend. And thanks for watching. And please subscribe if you haven't. It's completely free. Also free to click the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And I'll see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, we flawsome talk.